Grand Slam semi-finalist calls for Alexandra Eala's fans to support her at the Australian Open. Alexandra Eala should head to Melbourne brimming with confidence after enjoying a solid preparation for the Australian Open. 2026 will mark her first appearance in the main draw at this event, having guaranteed her spot after the stunning work she put in the year prior. This saw her rise from around 138th in the world rankings to 49th now, thus securing her spot in major events for the foreseeable future. However, participation will not be the end goal for a player as talented and driven as Alexandra Eala. She will want more, and backed by a relentless wave of Filipino backing, she has every right to strive for greatness. Donna Viek reacts after losing to Alexandra Eala at the Quong Classic. In fact, such is the stature of this support, one top WTA player has actually come out and called for the Philippines to share some of the love ahead of the Australian Open after losing to Eala at the Quong Classic. Featuring in this exhibition event ahead of a trip to Melbourne, it was Donna Viek who was well beaten by the 20-year-old talent. In winning that match, Eala claimed the Yvonne Gulagonki Trophy and her second win over the Croatian in a week. Speaking after her defeat, Viek was naturally impressed with her opponent and took time to praise both her and her fan base. Every time I play against Alex, I feel like we're playing in the center of the Philippines. So I don't know. There's so many of you guys out there. I think it was still a good match. Congrats to Alex. She played really well. Eventually, I'll get to you. Well, there's not even 1% of Croatians as much as there are people in the Philippines. Maybe they'll adopt me and support me in the Australian Open. It's not often that a Grand Slam semifinalist calls on another player's fan base for support ahead of a major tournament, but even Eala has admitted she's been surprised by her fans in Australia of late. Alexandra Eala talks about her preparation for the Australian Open. Speaking to the Australian Open press, it seems like Eala is ready and raring to compete in her first main draw in Melbourne. Asked about her landmark campaign in 2025, which has propelled her to this current standing, she admitted, "How do I embrace that? I try to take it with a spoonful of gratitude. I think not a lot of people get to experience this in their lifetime. So, I'm just so grateful to be in this position and to have that support. I think if anything, it's just try to take it in with the positives. It sure does help when I'm out on court and people are supporting." So, yay. Then speaking about her preparation for the event, Eala added, "Well, it definitely was great for confidence and to get matches and always helps before slams. So yeah, I'm confident with how I'm playing. Doesn't mean that the matches aren't going to be tough here. So I'm ready for anything." Yay. A call across the court when a Grand Slam voice rose for Alexandra Eala. The stadium was almost empty, the echo of footsteps louder than the applause that had once filled the air. Melbourne's summer heat still clung to the blue courts. And somewhere beyond the gates, the Australian Open was already beginning to breathe again, preparing for another year of dreams, heartbreak, and history. It was in this quiet moment that a Grand Slam semi-finalist spoke, not with the roar of competition, but with the clarity of conviction. "I've been on these courts," the player said, resting a hand on the net as if it were an old friend. "And I know how much courage it takes to step out here when the whole world is watching. That's why I'm asking you to show up for Alexandra Eala." The name carried weight. Alexandra Eala was no longer just a promising junior or a headline from a distant corner of the tennis world. She was becoming something more, something real, forged through early mornings, long flights, and matches that tested her patience as much as her backhand. But talent alone, the semifinalist knew, was never enough. Tennis can be a lonely sport. From the outside, it looks glamorous. Bright lights, packed stadiums, flags waving, applause rising and falling like waves. But from the inside, it is a long walk from the locker room to the baseline. A walk that feels even longer when doubt creeps in. The semi-finalist had felt it before, standing at Rod Laver Arena with legs heavy and mind racing, wondering if belief could last one more set. "That noise you make," the player continued, turning toward an imaginary crowd. "It matters, more than you think." For Alexandra, the Australian Open represented more than just another tournament. It was a statement of arrival. Every match was a chapter in a story still being written. A story about a young athlete carrying not only her racket, but the hopes of people who saw themselves in her fight. Each point won was a reminder that perseverance speaks louder than rankings. The semi-finalists remembered their own first deep run at a Grand Slam. The nerves, the silence between serves, the moment when the crowd began to lean in. willing them forward with every clap and shout. That support had turned fatigue into fuel. I wouldn't have made it to the semis without them, the player admitted. There were moments I wanted to disappear into the court. Instead, I stood taller because someone believed. And belief is contagious. Alexandra Eala's game was built on more than power or precision. It was built on resilience, on chasing down balls others would let go, on resetting after a double fault, eyes forward, shoulders loose, heart steady. But even the strongest resolve can waver under pressure, especially on the sport's biggest stage. That is where the fans come in. Cheer for her when she wins a long rally, the semi-finalist urged. But cheer louder when she loses one. Let her know she's not alone. The Australian Open has always been a place where stories unfold under the sun and stars. Legends have risen there. Unknowns have stunned giants, and crowds have adopted players as their own. Regardless of nationality, it is a Grand Slam semi-finalist urges fans to rally behind Alexandra Eala at the Australian Open. In a moment that has captured the imagination of tennis fans worldwide, Alexandra Eala, the rising star from the Philippines, has earned a coveted spot at the Australian Open, one of the most prestigious Grand Slam tournaments. As the young phenom prepares to showcase her skills on tennis's grandest stage, an unexpected voice of support has emerged, none other than a Grand Slam semifinalist herself, who is calling on fans to unite behind Eala in her quest for glory. The plea resonates far beyond the tennis court. It's a call for unity, national pride, and the celebration of emerging talent, especially for a young athlete hailing from a country where tennis is still growing in popularity. Alexandra Eala's journey is not just a story of personal triumph. It is emblematic of hope, determination, and the power of belief in one's abilities. A rising star on the global stage. At just 18 years old, Alexandra Eala has already made waves in junior tennis, securing titles and demonstrating a level of maturity and composure rare for her age. Her skill set is impressive, a versatile game, strategic shot-making, and a fighting spirit that refuses to succumb to pressure. Analysts have noted her exceptional ability to adapt mid-match, a quality that distinguishes promising players from true champions.